Hi there everyone and welcome to TechCravers. This is the highly anticipated AYN Odin 2, but it's more than that, it's also the successor to the first handheld device I ever reviewed on my channel 1.5 years ago, the AYN Odin Pro. And I need hardly mention that the AYN Odin Pro left a significant impression on me, especially as a content creator, since it was the one that made me realize how enjoyable it can be to create videos. So for that reason it feels even better today when this beautiful package landed on my doorstep. And as you can tell, a lot have happened, even on the packaging front, since the last time. The Odin 2 comes in this bright packaging with a large and clear image of what we can expect from the inside. Silver details that elevate the experience, and honestly, it's probably one of the more attractive packaging designs I've seen so far. There's nothing written on the sides all around, but if we take a look at the bottom, we can see that it's a cold grey model with 12GB of RAM and 256GB of internal storage. I originally backed the white model, but like everyone else, I will receive it when all delivers are sent out. This is a review unit that AYN was kind enough to send me. However, as usual, it won't affect my impression. What I say in this video is my honest opinion and nothing else. But now, without further delay, let's unbox this thing. So to open the box and see the beauty for real, we simply pull on this small fabric tab. On the top of the device we are greeted by this sheet of paper that provides an overview of all the controls and some system specifications of the device. Of course, I will delve into this in more detail in my review coming in a few days, but the big USP here is of course the CPU Qualcomm Cryo, or Cairo as AYN has chosen to call it. Jokes aside, it's a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which is the chip found in today's very best flagship smartphones. Now, how in the world AYN managed to get their hands on so many chips and have the ability to sell them for as little as $300 depending on when you back the campaign, it's probably something we'll never find out. There are still some base models with 8GB of RAM and 128GB of internal storage available. However, if you want to choose a color, you need to back the Pro model, which currently costs about $370 excluding shipping. But with the Pro model you also get 12GB of RAM and 256GB of storage, which is probably preferable if you intend to emulate heavier systems like the Nintendo Switch. And lastly, you also have the option to purchase a Max model with 16GB of RAM and 512GB of internal storage for about $450. Apart from that, we also get a screen protector, which is always nice to see included, and a USB-C charging cable. The only thing I can say right away that I don't like about the Odin 2 is the rather subpar wall adapter. It is powerful with its 100 watts, and I totally understand that companies can save a few dollars by providing a standard wall adapter and then include a different regional adapter depending on where you live. However, it feels flimsy and I likely end up using one of the genuine chargers I have at home instead. But now it's high time to take a look at what everyone has been waiting for. This is the AYN Odin 2 Pro, the cold grey model, and oh my goodness, it's so stunning. That's my very first impression. To those of you who backed the cold grey model, you're in for a fantastic treat. You definitely haven't chosen the wrong color. Usually these things grow on me after a few days or weeks of use, but this SNES-inspired design makes every retro-loving fiber in me do backflips. And my initial impressions regarding ergonomics and the comfort are that the Odin 2 feels incredibly comfortable in the hands. The hand grips are more defined and feel more thought out than the predecessor. It's also delightful to see that AYN has opted for concave joystick heads instead of the convex ones that most other manufacturers, including Nintendo Switch, use. Of course, it's a matter of personal preference though. Speaking of other manufacturers and other handhelds, now it's time to compare the design with a few other devices, and of course we start with the predecessor, the Odin Pro. And even though the overall size remains the same, a lot has changed on the design front. The really peculiar thing is that when Odin Pro arrived nearly 2 years ago, it was the most stylish handheld I had ever seen. But next to the Odin 2, the first impression is that it feels quite outdated and old-fashioned. From the top we get a better view of how much thicker the Odin 2 is, but it also has a much bigger battery than its predecessor. We also see that the analog triggers are larger, and as I mentioned earlier, the hand grips are more substantial. The analog sticks protrude slightly more than before, which means that the Odin 2 is less pocketable but significantly more ergonomic. At the back we can see that the Odin 2 has significantly larger air intake for the fan to work with, which theoretically should result in better cooling than before. The next device to compare with is the AYANEO Pocket Air. This handheld is slightly more compact than the Odin 2, but it feels like it weighs exactly the same. It's a device that I've come to love very much in the past few weeks, but it has those convex joystick heads I mentioned earlier. I'm actually a big fan of the color combination on the Pocket Air, but here I have to once again emphasize how ridiculously stylish the grey Odin 2 unit is. What do you think? Feel free to leave a comment down below about which color you like the most. And finally, I want to compare it to the Nintendo Switch Lite. The Nintendo Switch Lite is somewhat smaller in size and significantly lighter than the Odin 2. This becomes particularly evident from the top view, and another thing that stands out is how small the analog triggers are on the Switch Lite compared to the substantial ones on the Odin 2 Pro. I also like the L1 and R1 on the Odin 2 Pro. They really stick out and you can click anywhere on them without any problem. This is great for both big and small hands. So to summarize the design, as I mentioned earlier, the overall design of the Odin 2 Pro feels more refined than its predecessor, and the team over at AYN has truly listened to the community's feedback and fine-tuned every detail, it seems. And one final thing regarding the design, I have seen several other videos where creators have showcased the Odin 2 with transparent cases, and I really don't like how the RGB LEDs bleed through those cases. I do appreciate the concept of transparent cases. For instance, I've transparently modded my entire Steam Deck. However, in the case of the Odin 2 and its RGB, I would choose a colored model like this cold grey variant any day of the week. And that concludes my initial look at the AYN Odin 2 Pro. This handheld is undeniably one of the most highly anticipated devices of 2023, and based on what I've seen in terms of performance, it certainly lives up to the hype. I'll continue to set up this device here and begin testing games, so I can provide insights on that aspect in my forthcoming review of the Odin 2 Pro. If you have any specific game requests for testing, please let me know in the comments down below and I'll do my best to accommodate. I sincerely hope that you enjoyed watching this video showcasing the stunning cold grey Odin 2 Pro, and if you did, please don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my full review of this device and other future Odin 2 Pro content. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, TechCravers out.